Welcome to my channel. Hopefully you've watched um, my set of videos for day 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm currently in the evening of day 4. And day 1, I did 14 miles from Horseshoe Meadow Trailhead to here, which is Rock Creek. So that was my very first day. It was it was rough. And 14 miles is the longest I've ever done in the Sierra Nevada. So I figured I'd do it when I was fresh. And then the second day was a surprise when I had to cross Rock Creek first thing in the morning. Um, the water went all the way up, halfway up my thigh, so it was pretty deep. But I had it. It was no big deal. I had my trekking poles, um, so I was good. Made it to the other side, changed out my socks, even though my shoes were wet. I wanted to at least have some dry-ish socks. Then began the surprise climb up to Guyot Pass. Some people call it Guyot. It's spelled Guyot, and I think it's Guyot. Anyway, the climb. Um, Pretty drastic, and because it is trodden by mule trains, there are rocks and pieces of rocks and roots all over the trail. It is extremely steep. Um, yeah, we're just going to put it at it was extremely steep. So first thing in the morning, I had to go across a river, which was ice cold. I couldn't feel my feet. And then I had to immediately, once I went across the river, the trail started straight up. And it switched back and forth, but it was still straight up. Like you couldn't catch your breath. It was pretty severe. So then you get to the spot where it levels off, which is really nice. And then you get to cross Guyot Creek, which compared to Rock Creek, it's nothing. I did have to get my feet wet. Not a problem. Again, I just figured that this year, because it's the highest snow year in the last 100 years, everything was going to be wet. And it was. So I went ahead and filtered some water because I was sucking it down going uphill. And then I kept walking and walking and walking, and there was a second elevation gain in the trail that was as bad as the first one. So by the time I actually got to Guyot Pass, which was about 11,000 feet, I was I was demolished. But I still had to keep going because that's not a place to stop. So, and it was still early in the day. So I kept going, and this time it was down and down and down and down and down. And the views were amazing. I got to go through Guyot Flat because it's right underneath Mount Guyot, and it is the most beautiful open forest of foxtail pines. It was gorgeous. And then you start going up a bit, and then you get to another surprise, at least for me, is Crabtree Meadows. But to get to Crabtree Meadows from the trail, you literally get to a point where you look down, and the trail is cut into the side of these, I guess, rock falls, and the trail is, there's a lot of drop off. It's really, it was scary. I had to literally put my head down and not look as I was going down this very steep trail. Anyway, so as I I switchbacked all the way down, and I get to this stock gate. It's a wooden gate that's built to keep the horses out of a certain area. And to go through it, you have to pull it out of the way and go across and then put it back, whatever. So I get down to Crabtree Meadows. It's beautiful. I was still nowhere near where I wanted to be. So I had to keep hiking. And I had to cross another creek. And mind you, when they say creeks, they're not creeks, they're rivers. So I had to cross Whitney Creek. No problem. I don't even bother taking my shoes off or anything. I just slosh right through, and everybody's standing there looking at me like, as they're taking off their shoes to go across. And I'm like, people, why? We're in the Sierra. It's like low humidity. Your shoes are going to dry. You'll live. But a lot of these people are taking leather, big hiking boots. And of course, those things don't dry out overnight, whereas my shoes do. So I crossed the creek and I kept walking, and I saw a sign. I saw a sign, and it was from a ranger, and it said, please don't try to go up this trail and try to cross Whitney Creek because it's raging and blah blah blah. I thought, well, I don't know how old that note is, so I figured I'd just go. And I did, and it was beautiful. And then I got to the crossing, and it wasn't beautiful, and it was raging, and I said, I want to live to see another day. So I went all the way back to the sign that said, hey, if you go up this way, you will go on the trail, which is the PCT. You will meet up with the John Muir Trail. So what I needed to do was do like a box. I had to go back up and then go across to go back where I would have been had I been able to cross Whitney Creek, which at that point was Whitney Raging River. So another uphill. And again, not nice and easy. Nope. Straight up. Lots of rocks, lots of boulders. So anyway, so I made it up, got to the JMT, and then I had to walk all the way to where I would have been had I been able to cross Whitney Creek. Then, to get to the campsite that I wanted to get to, I had to go back downhill from the JMT to the original trail that I was going to be on. And guess what I had to do? I had to cross Whitney Creek. I couldn't get away from it. So I found a spot with the help of this young lady who was watching me go back and forth, and she said, if you go over there, that's the easiest place to cross. So I took her word for it, and it wasn't too bad. So again, I got to end the day with wet feet, wet shoes, the same way I started the day. Got to camp. It was beautiful. Matter of fact, it was very close to the ranger station. I put that on a video too. It's beautiful. And set up camp for my next day, which day 3 was me attempting Mount Whitney, which is the tallest mountain in the contiguous United States, lower 48, 14,508 feet. I was sitting at 11,000, maybe 10,800. So I had over 4,000 feet to go to get to the top of Mount Whitney. So I started the next day around 7, maybe 8 in the morning, and it was beautiful. The trail is splendid. Just, there's no words. You'll have to watch the video. It's amazing. And I got finally, and let me tell you that nobody really talks about. When I watch videos on YouTube about, climbing Mount Whitney, nobody that I have seen, I'm sure some people have, but I haven't seen it, have really truly said how just difficult. Maybe for these other people that are 20 years old, it's like easy peasy, lemon squeezy, but not for me. There were no lemons being squeezed. And I got to Guitar Lake, which was gorgeous. and everything was water everywhere, flowing waterfalls, ice, snow, because 2 weeks ago, was it 2.5 weeks ago, Hurricane Hillary came through and it dropped 18 inches of snow on Mount Whitney. So all of that snow was melting, and I was walking in a trail. Nope, a river. So I went up and up and up and up and up and up and up. I was above 12,300 feet. And then abruptly, the trail just stopped. It went away. All it was just a whole mountainside of rocks. Just rocks. And I thought, well, this is weird. Where's the trail? Well, I looked and I saw that people were actually leaving cairns. Yes, trail cairns. And then it dawned on me, oh, this 100-year winter with 400% snowfall and Hurricane Hillary with tons of rain literally broke the trail. It just degraded the whole thing. It was just complete landslide, which meant I had to start hiking on my hands and feet. Where if something happens to go out from underneath you, which it did, a couple of rocks did slide out from underneath my feet, you were going to get hurt. And even though I had seen people go up, I don't know how they were brave, dumb, I don't know, insert adjective. And that's where I said, I want to live to see another morning, live a lot longer, hopefully. So I looked up at the mountain and I said, another time, probably not. And I turned around and went back down. By the time I was picking my way through, I even had to go across snowfields. So as the sun heats up the snow, it starts all of these raging rivers. So the trail has now become a river. So you're walking in 3-4 inches of water, hopefully not slipping and sliding on any rocks as you're going down because they're wet. So it was difficult. I had already at that point maybe hiked 5 miles. So plus the altitude, very little oxygen. So here I was going down this trail that now had become a river. Some places were just ponds. So I'm slushing through all this water. Next thing you know, I'm next to Guitar Lake, like right up against Guitar Lake. And I don't remember when I went up, the trail being right up against Guitar Lake. And then I pulled out my GPS, my phone, and realized that I had missed my turn on the main trail, and I had taken the trail to go to Guitar Lake. So if you see that video, you'll realize that I was at the neck of the guitar. I didn't intend to be. So then I had to turn around and go all the way back. It was probably a good 3/4 of a mile to go back. Get to the main trail. And mind you, when people say coming down from the mountain, you're not really going down. You're going down and up and down and up. And when you're going up and down and up and down and up. So it's not just a elevation gain. You're losing and you're gaining. And so you are just working glutes. Yeah. So I finally got through the trail, and yes, you guessed it, I had to cross Whitney Creek again to get to my campsite. So I get to end the day again with wet feet, wet shoes. And I made my dinner and I went to bed. I was exhausted. I did go see the ranger cabin, which was beautiful, just beautiful. I videotaped all that. So I get up the next day, and that was today. So this morning I get up, I pack up my camp that I had been at for 2 nights, and yes, start my morning crossing Whitney Creek with wet feet, wet shoes. Go back up to the John Muir Trail, go all the way 1 mile down to meet up with the PCT and go all the way back down to Whitney Creek again. Yes, I had to pass Whitney Creek. I had to cross it, get my feet wet because they had just dried. And then as I'm going through, I had to go and filter 3 liters of water because the next section, which is Guillot, is dry. There's no water there. So I look up and I see that I have to do the switchbacks that are sheer drops. The one that I did coming in, I had to do the same one going back out. Torture. Yeah, the views are beautiful, but oh, wow. So at this point, I realized that I had not noticed this on the way in, but there was a lot of uphill, like a lot of uphill. And I have 6.6 pounds extra in my pack with all of that water. So my hip flexors told me they wanted a divorce. And I said, I'm sorry, I cannot grant you a divorce. So I kept walking and finally went back up and up and up and up and up and up. Kept going up and up and up and away. And I get to Guillot Pass, which is the one I had done on the way in. Now I'm doing it on the way out. Yes, those really steep switchbacks to get up to the pass, I had to go down. And the pounding on my feet over those rocks. So there's such a thing called the Sierra Step. Sierra Steps. So when they build the trail, I think the people who did it were masochists because they actually made steps of the granite, but the steps are the height of your knee. So I'm assuming they're 2 feet high, probably. They felt like more. And you have to get up and over your body and your pack. And there's hundreds of Sierra steps. Yeah. So my hip flexors again asked me for a divorce, and this time they brought a lawyer. And I said, I'm sorry, but we have to remain married. I mean, this is forever. Remember? So I finally got to the Guillot Creek, where I finally got some water because the next portion was going to be dry also. And I had a little bit to eat there, went ahead and kept going down the trail. Down. All the way down. It was brutal. And then at the bottom of the downhill, Rock Creek. And usually when you cross a creek or a river in the morning, it's possibly even 2 feet lower than normal because the sun hasn't come out to warm the snow, to melt it, to increase the level of the river. But because I was reaching Rock Creek in the afternoon, it was higher than the last time I crossed it. But I did fine. I'm getting really good at crossing rivers because that seems to be what's happening this year. Is everything is just a raging torrent. Normally it's just a little rock hop and you're just going from one rock to another, boop, 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 boop. But no, this year it is just raging rivers. So here I am at camp right off of Rock Creek, and I'll post a video of this beautiful camp. It's gorgeous. And then tomorrow I'm going to get up at 4, hopefully start walking at 5:30, which is still in the dark. The sun doesn't come out till maybe 6:30. Then I get to go all the way back to Horseshoe Meadow Trailhead. 14 miles again. This is on my 5th day. So, tomorrow is definitely going to test my moxie, test my mettle, test my soul. I literally might have to divorce my my hip flexors because I think they're gonna quit. They're gonna go home without me. Um, so I have definitely gotten way more of a workout on this trip than I did last year, and I'm feeling it. And I'm going to be in great shape by the time I get home. I've probably, I know I'm having to cinch up my pants, so I think I've lost about 5 or 6 pounds already. So, oh well. That means I can eat more when I get home. And I will do another recap when I get to the trailhead tomorrow. I'm not sure what time I get there, so we'll see. I'm not going to rush. I am not going to rush it. This time it shouldn't take me so long because I'm not going to pull off and stop at Chicken Spring Lake, which was a complete letdown on my way up on the first day. So, and then I get to end the day going over Cottonwood Pass, and that is a very steep downhill all the way down. And guess what? I got across 2 creeks that I had to cross on the way in, and that means I get to end my day again with wet feet. I should be used to it by now. All right, guys, thank you. If you have sat through this whole video, thank you so much. And, you know, I'm not going to say what everybody always says on YouTube, so just be safe, go out and take a hike, and enjoy your life and smile, because Mother Nature is amazing. Bye.